Safe shots on goal for some of these goalies. Give me both teams to score in the first period. That's coming in at plus 185 compared to the over 1.5 that is at minus 120. Okay, you guys ready? Let's make some frickin' money. It's time for Bucket with Jo. Hey, good morning or good afternoon. Actually, everyone, Jo here with SportsGrid. It's time for Bucket with Jo over here on SportsGrid TV. Now, we had a loaded slate out there on the ice, some fantastic games yesterday, and we have 5 games on deck today. So let's jump straight into these games here. Sorry for the later show. We will be back tomorrow at noon Eastern, so make sure you join me then. But jumping into today's slate, we're going to kick it off first with the Philadelphia Flyers taking on the Detroit Red Wings. And if you're saying we just saw this matchup, we just did. On December 12th, the Flyers were able to get a 4-1 win. So the Detroit Red Wings definitely looking for that sudden revenge factor. Looking at the current lines over on FanDuel, you guys, we had the Detroit Red Wings rolling in as a minus 115 favorite here at home, minus 104 for the Flyers, total of 5.5. I think the under is the way you want to go in this matchup. The under 5.5 coming in at plus 108. Again, over bettors are not going to like my card today because I definitely am looking at more unders than overs. I'm expecting another lower scoring game, just like we saw in that last one. And I do think the Red Wings should be able to, with last change here at home, be able to control more the momentum of this game and ultimately get the win here at home. The under is 6-1 in the last 7 meetings between these two. We've got really strong trends for why you don't want to back the Flyers rolling into Detroit. They've only won 1 of the last 5 meetings here in Detroit. The home team, home ice has been a major advantage between these two. Home team in the last 42 meetings has won 32 of those. At minus 115, I'm willing to bite here on the Red Wings to be able to get a nice lower scoring win. You look at this team, they're looking to get above 500 at home. They're sitting 6-7-2 at home, 6th in the Atlantic. And we see here the Philadelphia Flyers road record. They are positive 7-5-3, but I just don't think that they get it done. They're off that loss to the Minnesota Wild in their last game out, 4-1 a loss there. And we are seeing the Red Wings rolling in with momentum. I think that momentum from the win over the Toronto Maple Leafs carries forward into this game. Remember, they were able to win that one on Saturday 4-2. So if this team can beat the Toronto Maple Leafs with last change at home, I do think they have an opportunity to beat this Flyers team. Now, Urgent is expected in goal for the Flyers. Alex Leon expected here for the Detroit Red Wings. I trust in Alex Leon. I know. Almost hit that player point parlay yesterday. So they're so close to hitting, that is for sure. Good morning, Kev and Timothy. Leafs, Minnesota, and Vancouver. Let's cash. Let's go. Let's look at the Toronto Maple Leafs taking on the Dallas Stars. Now, lines on this one, Toronto is the dog coming into Dallas, plus 108. This is a team that's been able to get those wins in Dallas. So if you're liking the dog, there are the trends to support it. But the Dallas Stars, Jake Ottinger, should be in a net tonight for them. We know how phenomenally strong he has been. The Dallas Stars are a minus 130 favorite here at home. This total is 5.5. Plus 102 to the under. And you guys, I told you I like unders today. I'm going under with this one. And I do think you could isolate the Leafs team total. I think Jake Ottinger has been playing phenomenally hot. And when we look at him versus Toronto, yes, he's only faced them twice. And in both of those games allowed those 3 goals. But I'm counting on him with how hot he has been with Minnesota here at home for them to really lock down in this one. Jake Ottinger to stand tall in his net and limit the Toronto Maple Leafs' ability to get those high danger shots and light the lamp tonight. I will take the Toronto Maple Leafs team total. That's coming in at 2.5. I know it's terrifying to take to the under with the firepower we have on the Toronto Maple Leafs, but I do think it stays under the 2.5. That's coming in at plus 106. Now, is that saying that the Leafs won't win this? No, absolutely not. I think this is a 2-1 game. I think it could be 1-1 going into OT. Joseph Walla expected to get the start here for Toronto. He's going to need to stand on his head versus the Dallas Stars. We know this Stars team led by Rupe Hintz has been playing so strong out there on the ice, and I expect them to continue to play strong in this one. Dallas's Jason Robinson also has been lighting the lamp as of late. He scored twice in the last 4 games. So between Robinson and Rupe Hintz would be your playmakers for Dallas. But you guys know when I like a lower scoring game, it's very hard for me to jump on those numbers. So I do think this is an under ultimately for the full game in this. I just get a little concerned with that empty netter, but I do think it could be a 2-1 style low scoring game. So I'm going to go there. The Dallas Stars just so phenomenally strong on their home ice, sitting 13-3 on the season, third in the Central. And yes, the Leafs are first in the Pacific here, or sorry, the Atlantic here. They are 5-6-2 on the road, so just below 500 on the road. And we see Dallas at home, they're holding opponents to under an average of right on an average of 2 goals at home this season. So I love that under 2.5. But Toronto has won the last 6 meetings in Dallas. So I wouldn't be shocked, you guys, if they did win it, but still didn't go over at the 2.5. Yeah, 3-2, 1-2 style game for sure. If you guys can hit that like, share, and subscribe, I would greatly appreciate it. Retweet it as well. The Florida Panthers next, taking on the Minnesota Wild. Now, the Minnesota Wild have confirmed Marc-Andre Fleury and Nat Bobrovsky is expected here for the Florida Panthers. We saw the Florida Panthers in a really hard battle out there versus the Edmonton Oilers on Monday. This is the last game of a 4-game road trip out there for this team as well. And I do think they come to play in this one versus the Minnesota Wild. We know how strong the Florida Panthers are. Sitting second in the Atlantic, they got to be ticked that Toronto has taken that first spot. They're 9-5-1 on the road this season, and I do trust in this team to be able to come out strong versus Marc-Andre Fleury. We have the Minnesota Wild. While Kaprizov played his heart out in the last game, he wasn't able to get us that hat trick, but he did get us the 2 goals. If you laddered it up with me taking him for 1 goal, 2 goals, and the hat trick, you definitely did make money because the 1, of course, cashed, and the 2 was great plus money. We just weren't able to get the big money with the hat trick there. But Kaprizov is coming off some great work. That being said, I think the Florida Panthers will find a way to limit him out there on the ice. I still think he could find the back of the net, but we're not getting enough value on just the 1 goal off of them. With them versus the Kings, they did lose that one 3-2. They have Utah on deck on Friday, and then they're at the Jets on Saturday. The Wild, I think it will depend. If they're able to get the win here, I could see Utah being a letdown spot with the Jets on deck the second day. They've lost their last 8 games at home as a dog. So when we look at current lines on this, they're coming in at plus 126. Home dog here. The trends go against the Minnesota Wild. They go for the Florida Panthers. The problem is the Florida Panthers are minus 152 favorite. So where are we going to go? The Wild have been strong at covering that puck line versus the Florida Panthers. They did win the last matchup between these two teams. It was a 5-1 win back in October. Barkov has been playing really well for the Florida Panthers, and I do think this Panthers team is the right side. I just don't want to lay the juice here. I think this is a game maybe in overtime, 2-2 going to overtime. I think, again, the play here is the under 5.5. You're going to have to lay a bit of juice at minus 118. That's where I'm going to go. I'm looking for goaltending and defense to rule this game. The last game, we got 6 goals. We only need 5. We can't have any more than 5 in this one. So I will take the under. I lean to the Florida Panthers getting the win. If it's the Minnesota Wild who got first in this game, I will be coming back in on live betting the Florida Panthers when we're getting that plus money. Now, we also have the Vancouver Canucks hitting the road, taking on Utah. The Vancouver Canucks off that nice win are plus 100 here on the money line and minus 120 for the Utah Hockey Club. Now, this one has a total of 5.5, and this is one I'm convinced to take to the over 5.5. The over 5.5 coming in at minus 124. I look at the offensive firepower on both sides of the puck, and I do think Utah will get on the board, even though it's Demko out here. My problem with Vancouver and why I don't want to back Vancouver tonight is their look-ahead situation. Vegas is on deck for this team tomorrow, and that's a really hard place for them to roll into the Fortress and play. While they're going to be wanting to get the win here tonight, Vermalka is confirmed for Utah. I think they'll score on him, but I think Utah, with how they have been playing, desperately will want this win here at home. This team sitting 4-5-3 and 5th in the Central. They are 4-5-3 at home, that is. So they won their last two. They were able to get that win Saturday. It was a 4-3 win versus the Sharks. So we need more out of them in this one. I look at that look ahead situation with Vegas, and that scares me for the Vancouver Canucks. Now, one thing you could look at here is the Vancouver Canucks in the first period. I do have faith in them to get up nice and fast versus Utah, but I also think the over 1.5 is in play in the first period as well. So let me just pull up those odds for you guys, because I can't remember what they were. The over 1.5 coming in at -116 in that first period. Both teams to score at +180. I like, but I also think Vancouver can take this one in the first period. Now, they are coming into this game as a slight underdog, so you don't want to take them plus the half on the puck line in the first period, because that is just way too juicy at -235. But you can look at them here on the money line in the first period. You're going to get that at -102. You could also do the reverse puck line in the first period if your book allows that. The reverse puck line would be laying the half a goal. You're going to get great plus money, especially as a money line favorite in the first at -102. Again, this could be 1-1. So if you are taking the first period bets, my best recommendations is the over 1.5. The money line here for the Vancouver Canucks, and then both teams to score at +180. I think all three of those bets could come into play. Next, we have, and last but not least, you guys, the Winnipeg Jets taking on the Anaheim Ducks. Now, the Ducks, can they be quacking in this one? It's going to be a hard battle here versus Winnipeg. Winnipeg is 0-4 on the puck line in their last 4 on the second night of a back-to-back. So not a strong situation with them. They won last night versus the San Jose Sharks, but that wasn't an easy game. If you were riding the Winnipeg Jets in any capacity, you were definitely sweating out that game, as the San Jose Sharks really did make us some money. Firstly, they were able to get Tyler Toffoli and Celebrini for those anytime goals, so hopefully you guys played on both of those. But that team was nice and scrappy there at home, pushing Winnipeg into a 4-3 game, which Winnipeg had to fight back. Mark Scheifele came out nice and strong and was able to help his team there. But Winnipeg's been strong, getting off to good starts versus most teams. They have won their last 4 first periods, and they've won the last 8 games versus the Anaheim Ducks. So really hard to look at the Ducks in this situation. But that second night of a back-to-back is a really interesting look here for a Ducks team that we know has been locking down on the defensive side of things. We got a total again of 5.5 +106 to the under, -130 to the over. Eric Crombie expected here for the Winnipeg Jets, while John Gibson expected for the Anaheim Ducks, which is hard for me to look to an under because of both of these goaltenders. What I'm going to do is I'm going to isolate the Ducks team total. I actually do trust in this Ducks team to be able to score on Eric Crombie. They've got a team total of a 2.5, -118 to the over. So yes, we need the Ducks to score 3 goals, and I think they can score 3 goals in this one. I think that second night of a back-to-back will show some weaknesses here in the defense, but it's a goaltending. I just don't trust Eric Crombie to come out nice and strong. Now, no goalie props yet in this one. I would be looking at his save shots on goal to the under. We know the Winnipeg Jets should be able to limit the Ducks' ability to get a lot of shots in this one. So I will be going there. The Winnipeg Jets in the first period, if you just want to look at the first period there, for them to come out nice and strong and cover that puck line, because that's where I have the most faith in them. Come out strong, and then those tired legs get into play where we see Troy Terry make an impact. The playmakers there of the Anaheim Ducks coming out strong once Winnipeg gets tired. So Winnipeg in the first period, I think, very solid bet, laying a half a goal at +146. Now, looking at those goal scorers, like I said, Troy Terry at +240. That is where I would look for the Ducks. And Kyle Connor, we know how phenomenally strong he has been for the Winnipeg Jets. I'm actually kind of concerned that they're giving us him at +150, and I expected him to be a -110 here for his anytime goal. So that kind of leads me to believe that they might be concerned here of what the Winnipeg Jets are going to put up on the second night of their back-to-back. Now, if you're looking at anyone else further down the list here for the Winnipeg Jets. I think you could look at Josh Morrissey. Josh Morrissey, definitely a player I like to play on. We also have a great value for Josh Morrissey. He's coming in at plus 650 for the anytime goal. I think you could also circle Josh Morrissey for his points. The problem is you have to look at 2+ points. Troy Terry for a point is minus 132, so juicy there for the Ducks, but I do see it coming into play, and Frank Frangio coming in. So if you want to parlay those two players together, you could look at it. But Kyle Connor for 2+ points is at plus 182, Mark Scheifele at plus 230. So I definitely look where the value is coming. Josh Morrissey at plus 330. The power play points with the Winnipeg Jets, definitely a place you want to look. If you don't want to bet anything with the Ducks, you can still count on the Jets on that power play while the Ducks defense has been locking down again. I do think the power play is just so phenomenally strong here for the Jets. We can see the conversion. The Kyle Connor power play point of plus 195 is who I would look at, but you could also, again, Cole Perfetti at plus 350 holds so much value. So Jets, puck line. Okay, I can see it. Yeah, Jets should get an easy win. I'm just going to look at the team total of the Ducks. I think they're able to score some goals in this one. And of course, we can build that parlay. So let's get back to the recap, you guys. I appreciate you for joining me here. Sorry for the later show. Just had some scheduling conflicts with some other things that I am working on with the grid. So let's do the recap. 16-minute mark, you guys. We are flying. We got to fly because Scott Farrell is up next on SportsGrid TV here on X. So don't go anywhere after I sign off. The Philadelphia Flyers and the Detroit Red Wings is the first game. Let's jump in to the recap. I'm looking at this one to stay under the 5.5. We're getting plus money to the under. I think the Red Wings can get that sudden revenge angle here. I'm willing to lay the minus 115 with them here at home. The Toronto Maple Leafs versus the Dallas Stars. Another game I think goes under that total. I'm going to isolate the Leafs team total, taking their team total under 2.5 goals at plus 106. I think the Stars probably win this, leaning towards them. I don't like the juice that you have to lay, especially when Toronto has been so phenomenally strong versus Dallas Stars, even in Dallas. I'm trusting in Jake Ottinger to really stand on his head tall between the pipes, but I think Joseph Woll will do the same. So under 2.5 for the Toronto Maple Leafs. If you just want to take the full game to the under, I don't blame you. The Florida Panthers taking on the Minnesota Wild here. I'm looking at this to be another under game, under the 5.5. I think the Panthers can win this 3-2 style game. The problem is it's minus 150-ish for the Florida Panthers on the money line. I want to live bet this if the Minnesota Wild can go up in that first period, or as the day goes on, we start to see the juice drop on the Florida Panthers. This is their last game of a 4-game road trip, and the Wild have been so strong at home, but I'm just not buying into it here. I think Florida will come out strong in this matchup, and they will be able to hit Bobrovsky better than the Wild will be able to hit Fleury better than the Wild will be able to hit Bobrovsky. The Vancouver Canucks taking on the Utah Hockey Club. This is the game that I think goes over that total. Vancouver has Vegas on deck tomorrow. I see a lack of defense in this one as they do come out strong and hot offensively, hitting Vermelka, and Utah just so hungry for those wins at home. They've lost their last 5 at home. Look for them to bring it tonight and push Vancouver into a higher scoring game, which probably they don't want, but I think it goes over the 5.5. The Winnipeg Jets and the Anaheim Ducks. The Winnipeg Jets have struggled to cover the puck line on the second night of a back-to-back. So looking at the Anaheim Ducks, plus 1.5 is minus 180, not somewhere I want to go. I'll look at the Anaheim Ducks team total over 2.5. I think they get 3 goals in this matchup versus Winnipeg. So let's build that parlay, you guys, the round robin of those player points. So excited to do so. One of these days, we're going to hit all of these player points out there and have a big payday. I'm going to look at Troy Terry for the point there for the Anaheim Ducks as the first leg. And now this is going to be a lower players because I'm looking at a lot of unders. I'm going to look at Troy Terry and I'm going to look at Kyle Connor. We can't deny Kyle Connor of the point. Let me just clean something up here on my FanDuel account because we're going to remove everything. Back to bet slip. Wow, that was a hard one. I had the round robin floating around that I was trying to build for this weekend in there. Okay, so I'm going to add Troy Terry here of the Anaheim Ducks for a point and Kyle Connor for a point of the Winnipeg Jets. Then I'm going to look here at the matchup between Vancouver and Utah, another game that I think we can see be a higher scoring one. Clayton Keller, he is undeniable here for what we've seen out of Utah. And I do think if they're to get on the board tonight, it will be because Clayton Keller gets there. I'm also going to look at, for Vancouver, JT Miller has been strong, but I want to go further down the list. I'm going to look at Brock Besner to come out nice and strong for Vancouver as well. When we look at Dallas and Toronto, I can't put anyone in there because I think it could be a lower scoring game, and same with the rest of these, you guys. So really just looking at the two games, I don't want to add any more players to the mix. So we've got 4 players for our round robin today. We've got one player from each of the 2 games that I think can be higher scoring and one from each team. So the Anaheim Ducks, I'll circle Troy Terry. The Winnipeg Jets, Kyle Connor. The Utah Hockey Club, Clayton Keller, and the Vancouver Canucks, Brock Besner. All of those players for a point. So if you just want to do a same game parlay where you're looking at the Ducks and the Jets, you can parlay Troy Terry and Kyle Connor for the point. That's coming in at plus 135. And then if you look at Vancouver and Utah, Clayton Keller and Brock Besner parlayed together for a point at plus 166. If you want to parlay all 4 of these guys together, all for a point, that's coming in at 5-1 to your money. So a $10 bet returns $52.85. Now, if you want to, will it let me round robin these guys? It's not letting me round robin these ones because there's only those 4 legs. But if we were to add someone else to make this a longer shot, well, the Minnesota Wild, you got to look at Kaprizov. So we will look at a couple other players just to get a round robin in here. Kaprizov, I would look at for the point. Again, his point is just so juicy out there at minus 310, but that's who I would count on. And then I would look at, we're going to look at Barkov out here. No, we're not getting him. Sam Reinhart. No, that's a hard one here because I think these teams really do lock down. If you want to do the round robin, add Kaprizov in there. You've got to go a 3x4s for this one, and you're not getting any value. So not enough value with the round robin, you guys. We're just, because I'm looking at lower scoring games, I think you either do the same game parlay with Troy Terry and where are we going with those same game parlays? Let's get back to this. Troy Terry and Kyle Connor, same game parlay, and then Clayton Keller and Brock Besner, same game parlay, and then parlay the 4 together. And the 4 together is coming in at 5-1 to your money. So that is where I would go. I appreciate you guys for being here each and every single day on Pocket with Joe. Let's go. Let's just get this freaking money today. Let's make some money, you guys. I will see you back here noon Eastern. We'll be back on a regular schedule tomorrow. Again, thank you. If you guys can hit that like, hit that retweet, I would so greatly appreciate it. We'll talk to you tomorrow.